Rich Templin, Florida AFL-CIO.
Mr. Chair, representatives, thank you for the opportunity to be here. First, let me start out by saying that the 500,000 workers, retirees, and families we represent woke up this morning ecstatic that something was finally done to reform our healthcare system. You know, one of the prior speakers spoke about Dr. Rush and his warnings about the undercover dictatorship of healthcare that could arise in this country. Well, our members know, as do most Floridians, that undercover dictatorship already exists. It's already here. And it's the for-profit private insurance market that for too long has been underregulated, has abused the public trust, and has done irreparable damage to the nation's overall healthcare delivery system. What happened last night was finally people in this state will know in just a few days that they can't lose their coverage because they get sick. They can't lose their coverage or not get coverage because of a pre-existing conditions. Our small businesses will know that the insurance pool is going to be increased, and so their premiums will go down. These are all things that people will know in the next few days as this finishes. But, you know, the last year, the people of America have really witnessed some of the most entertaining political theater in the history of this country. It has really been something to watch. And it would be purely enjoyable if it wasn't about such an important issue. And unfortunately, that political theater continues today in this very committee room. But I'd like to get beyond political theater and beyond what happened last night and beyond the debate over health care and talk about Florida's Constitution and talk about what happens when political theater crosses over into amending our state's most important document. And that is serious unintended consequences. And that is what will result if this amendment is added to our Constitution. Let me share a few real numbers about the state of Florida. Almost 4 million people uninsured, over 20% of the population. No access to health care except for emergency room health care delivery. Almost 800,000 children in this state without access to primary health care, representing almost 20% of our young population. Florida's businesses' premiums are exploding. $7,500 per year for family coverage. Our workers' premiums are exploding. $3,500 for family coverage. Out-of-pocket expenses to working people in this state. And so the number, you basically have three choices right now in this state. Keeping the status quo isn't even an option because the status quo is going to be worse tomorrow than it was today. So whether anybody likes it or not, we can't keep the status quo. I mean, it's out of our hands. It's going to continue to get worse. We can eliminate health insurance altogether through some type of state plan, which I don't think this legislature is likely to do. Or we can increase the pool. We can increase the people paying into the private health insurance market, thus lowering costs for everyone. It's basic. That's what insurance is all about. That's what it does. Now, what this resolution will do, if added to the Constitution, is it will take all of the tools off the table that Florida might want to investigate in the years ahead to deal with some of these crippling problems. Every single day, we hear from someone here in the legislature that Medicaid is killing the budget. Medicaid is the biggest drain on the budget. Medicaid is crippling us. You know, people have talked about Massachusetts being underwater because of their healthcare system. Guess what? Florida is way underwater because we've got so many people on Medicaid. Now, here's just one specific area where we need to address that this constitutional amendment could preclude us from ever dealing with in the future. And that's the issue of bigger and bigger businesses taking more and more people off of their private health insurance rolls and putting them on the backs of the taxpayers in the form of Medicaid. And I'll just pick one company because it's one of the biggest employers in the state, and that is Walmart. 91,000 employees in Florida. 12,300, 13.5% are eligible for Medicaid. This in spite of the fact that one corporation made $10 billion in profits. These folks are on Medicaid. They are on the taxpayer rolls, which means that you have one of the biggest, most profitable corporations in the state that's not paying health insurance for their employees. You are. Your constituents are. I am. Through the Medicaid system. Now, at some point, a lot of states are working cooperatively with businesses like Walmart to figure out a way that employers can either provide coverage for their workers or pay into a state pool so that taxpayers aren't on the hook for those workers who don't have coverage. But guess what? At some point, that requires mandates. And so by this amendment, you could have the unintended consequence because of political theater of making it impossible for us to do that in the state. And guess what? Florida will continue to be underwater. You will continue to have to come here each and every year and decide, do we cut health care for old people? Do we cut environmental protection? Do we double driver's license fees in order to make up the whole? So, in essence, we just ask you to vote against this resolution, not because of the political theater, not because of anything happening in Washington, not because of anything that happened last night, which, again, we think was historic, and our people are thrilled about it, but because of what it means for the future of Florida, and you tying your own hands to be able to solve the healthcare problems that we have now and that we're going to have in the future. So for that, we strongly encourage you to take a close look at this, get out of the business of political theater, and figure out what's in the best interest of our future policy needs for the state of Florida and our Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question. Representative Proctor, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By your use of the term political theater, are you dismissing the possibility that some people may entertain very, very serious reservations outside of the theatrical about the role of the federal government?
You're recognized.
Mr. Chair? I think that people's concern about the role of federal government is a fundamental one, and one that our nation has struggled with since its very founding. However, I also know that many of these same types of concerns were raised during Social Security. I don't know how many people out here are willing to give up their Social Security benefits. It was waived. They were raised during the passage of Medicare. I don't know how many people out here want to give up their Medicare system. I think that it is very easy to whip people into a frenzy by going back to that fundamental issue and playing on their fears. The issue is very serious. What people sometimes do with it, unfortunately, is not.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman.
You're recognized.
So, again, you use the word theater. So you dismiss any real serious reservations on the part of opponents, other proponents of this amendment resolution.
You're recognized.
Absolutely not, sir. Would not intend to besmirch the intentions of anyone in this August